What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Perfectly Blended podcast. On today's episode, we have another phenomenal interview guest on today. When's that coming up, though?
Right now.
Okay, here we go. Thank you so much for joining us on the Perfectly Blended podcast. This podcast is for blended families, for couples that want to strengthen their marriage and want a brighter future. Perfectly Blended exists to break the stigma of divorce, drop the shame and guilt holding you back, and equip marriages to thrive instead of just survive. We believe all that is possible in this life is based on the power of Jesus Christ and His ability to restore us fully. Let's dive in. Are you ready to dive in? We're going to dive in, okay? I am one of your hosts, Josh, here with the always Miss Gorgeous. Look at that beautiful smile. Whoa. You messed up what I was saying. Like, beautiful smile, she's like, with the most beautiful woman on planet, Miss Kristy. How are you?
I'm good.
We're good. Okay, we have an amazing interview with somebody today that we're going to meet.
One of
here
the best interviewees we've ever had.
She was earlier, she was like, I was trying to say interviewee, and it was really hard. And then we just started making fun of it. So that was fun. So the person we're going to be bringing on today, her name is Tamika Thomas. She lives in California. She is a blogger, a podcaster. She is an author. She's a speaker. She's a believer in Jesus Christ. And she is a coach. Her website is Tuesday with Tamika. Don't go there just yet. You got to finish watching this episode. It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
It was just an absolute pleasure to be able to
Her
have
and
an
her husband
opportunity.
have 8 kids.
8 kids, but you're about to learn this, okay? We're not trying to spoil the whole thing.
Sorry.
Just trying to spoil the whole thing. So, without further ado, let's bring on Tamika. Well, everybody, we want to welcome Tamika to the show today. Tamika, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me. I really count it an honor and a privilege.
Oh, thank you so much. We're excited to have you on today. You have an area of expertise, something that's awesome. We really think that our listeners, our viewers are going to be able to tap into, find some value in. But before we even go down that road, let everybody know a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Tamika Thomas, and I am an inner healing coach. I believe that God has called me to help women heal, elevate, and become restored so they can restore relationships with themselves, with God, and with others. Besides all that amazing stuff, I am the mother of 8. Me and my husband are a blended family, and we have 8 kids. I'm a wife to an amazing husband, and I think above all, just a servant of God.
Yeah, love that.
Oh man, that speaks right to us. So
yeah,
tell us a little bit about your kids, his kids. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my kids are 23, 21, and 16. So I have 3, and I inherited 5 from him, and his kids are 23, 18, I'm going to miss someone, 15, 12, and 10. So our youngest is 10. So we have 4 adult children, 3 of which are living outside of the home, 1 that's still in the home, and then 4 younger ones. And we actually have them all full time. So all the kids are under our roof full time.
Okay.
Wow,
all right. That's interesting. So how long have you guys been together?
So we've been only together for 4 years, so it still feels like a honeymoon, but it was, I don't know if other blended families can kind of attest to this, but with the blend, everything happens really quickly, and you got to kind of just get in there and get your feet dirty, get your hands dirty. And so it feels really like a long time that we've been together, but it's only been 4 years.
Yeah. You guys are still newlywed it up for sure. Yeah.
Yes, we are.
So where about in the country do you guys stay?
We are in Riverside, California. So I always tell people, they're like, when people hear California, they think LA or San Diego. And we're right in between the two of those.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said that you have been called by God, to help women heal, like the inner healing. What started all of that?
I believe what started it is my own personal journey. So I have tons and tons of like childhood trauma that I had to unpack and really be delivered from some stuff that caused me to be in this really stuck place that I think a lot of believers are at. I totally believe in the Bible, and I believe in prayer and fasting, and I believe in all those things. But I do believe that God has put people on this planet to help us get through some of that stuff. Sometimes in the church, there's this taboo, or there's this, like this, what's the word, stigma around like mental health and around coaching and all those things. And so I really stumbled across coaching because I wanted to heal myself. I wanted to get out of that place of just do it, like the saying says, insanity, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Yeah. So I started my own work and some practices, like some daily practices and some daily things that I was doing. And then I remember very clearly God telling me like, so if this works for you, why not disciple and show other people how to, get through some of this stuff? So I went head in and, started to do the work. And I've been coaching professionally for 7 years, and I have been in mental health for over 20 years.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is funny you talk about the stigma around that in the church. We've witnessed that as well. Anytime you start talking about any type of personal development, it's kind of, you're shaking your head. You get it. I mean, it's, they kind of like, and it's like, okay, it's not always appropriate to shoot Bible bullets at everybody, Bible verses and just boom. The word is living and breathing. There's no doubt about that. But there's also an other side to this. And so we live in that same space as you do, about we're coaches, and we try to help people understand the insides of themselves and the practical side of that as well. So 7 years in that, and then 20 years in mental health. That's amazing. There's not enough people advocating for mental health issues. There really just isn't.
Well, and I've told people in the past before too that, in the Old Testament, God came down in the form of fire and in the cloud. And then as Jesus in the New Testament, after he was crucified, coming in. And after that, after Jesus went back to heaven, he was crucified, he rose again, he came back, discipled to his disciples, then he went back to heaven. That God expects us to be the hands and feet of Jesus while we're here. So every time somebody's struggling with something, you can't just tell them just pray more and just lean into God more. We do need to lean into God, but we need each other. I mean, our pastor talks about all the time about community, how much the importance of community is. Well, community means for mental health and for the stigma around blended families in the church world and things like that too. Yeah. So I talk to people about that all the time. I'm like, we need each other. Like, God doesn't come down anymore in a burning bush and talk to us. Right. Like he expects those of us that have the Holy Spirit inside of us to, go to him for wisdom and discernment and then help each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you said that. And I think, if we realize that the Bible is really a living, breathing testament of God, we will see all throughout the scriptures where many people, I'm doing like an Old Testament just kind of study, and I've been really heavy reading the books about that David wrote, Psalms and different things. And I'm like, whew, this man was going through, like he needed me. He needed some inner healing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mental health throughout the Bible, but sometimes we read it. We don't, the word of God says, study to show thyself approved. Sometimes we don't study it. We just read it. And sometimes it takes, pastors or different people to help us study it and understand it. So I do believe that that's my calling. That's my truth. And I'm sticking with it.
Yeah,
we love that so much because we don't know for you, maybe if you're comfortable sharing, but, does the local church that you belong to, do they support your movement and your desire to work in this space?
Yeah, definitely. My pastor's wife, she's actually a clinician, so she works in mental health as well. So they do a lot of stuff. They allow me to work with the women and, to kind of teach them stuff that's just practical. I feel like as a whole, the church has gotten a lot better, and we're moving more towards practical things and helping believers just figure out life, because these last couple of years, I feel like 2020 was an onset of people having to really look within themselves and figure out who they were. We were home alone with ourselves for 24 hours. And so people had to heal and deal, like I like to call it.
Yeah.
Wow. We notice, I've noticed on your website, which is Tuesday with Tamika, And why don't you tell us a little bit about how did Tuesday come into the factor in this?
Yes, I love this story. So, years before I was coaching and I was doing any of this stuff, I used to volunteer my time at a continuation school that serviced teen moms, pregnant girls, and they had young children. And so I would go every Tuesday, free, give my time for free. And the teacher would put on the board, "It's Tuesday with Tamika." And so the girls were like, "It's Tuesday." They had a little song and they just were like, "It's Tuesday with Tamika." And every Tuesday I would walk in there and they would make me feel like a celebrity. And so it was like my vow to them that once I started doing something big, I was going to name my company after that experience. And funny thing is, God always uses things that we struggled with to really help heal us. So I myself was a teen mom. So I was a teen mom. I went through that experience, and I wish I had someone like myself to really help me walk me through those teen years. So I dedicated my company to those girls in that teen program.
I love that your identity is in that. It's really cool how, I shouldn't say your identity, but you've taken that as such a powerful thing in your own personal self that it's an easy to reflect that out to others. It's just so important. So that's cool. That's a cool thing. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's really neat.
So based off of like that, you were even giving back because you yourself was a teen mom. So how does the individual journey of a woman help create success in the family?
Oh my gosh. I believe personally that women, we are like the thermostat. So we keep the temperature of the home, right? So no matter what's going on outside, if it's, right now in California, we're experiencing double digits. And I think all across the country where, it's hot, it's summertime. And no matter what's going on, if my temperature, my internal temperature is set at 72, 73, it doesn't matter what's going on at home, outside. What happens a lot of times is women, we have the inability to regulate because we have a lot of unhealed stuff. So we take all of that junk that's going on out in the outside, all that heat, or whether it's cold, I can hear, am I hearing Wisconsin in your accent? What am I hearing?
Michigan.
Okay, I was close. So I know for you all, you guys have some pretty, hard winters. So no matter what's going on outside, whether it's burning up hot or freezing cold, if the mother's temperature is set at a certain degree, which is calm, peaceful, and it doesn't mean that we're perfect, but if we're able to regulate our home and regulate the temperature of our home, it really affects our children, our husband, even the dogs, right? The dogs know when I'm upset.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for us, for women, to have like radical self-care practices, to have really like morning routines, evening routines, because we set that temperature. We're the thermostat of our homes.
That's right. I love that.
Yeah. And when we look at like blended families, because you are in a blended family, you are in the heat of it, right? So you're in the heat of it. So as a mother, though, as a woman within your home, how do you feel that the temperature that you set impacts your stepchildren?
I feel like, especially for them, my own children, they kind of know like my temperament, right? Because they were raised with me. And not only that, we share DNA, so they can kind of figure that out. But with my bonus babies, my stepchildren, there was a lot of eggshell walking initially. And I feel like it was more so for me because they did come to us with some trauma. So because of their trauma, I did what I would never subscribe anybody else to do, is I did a lot of pretending and performing, because I wanted things to be okay, right? I wanted to be accepted. I wanted them to love me. I think what we don't talk about a lot in blended families is my children, they can get mad at me. They can get upset with me. But at the end of the day, I'm their mother. So they're always going to come back, right? With my bonus babies, there was this fear that if I say the wrong thing, if I do the wrong thing, they don't have to love me. They don't have to be in relationship with me. So I kept this temperature of this warm, cozy home all the time, but I myself was abandoning me. I was neglecting me, because when I was unhappy or when I was sad or when I was tired or whatever emotion I was feeling, I always felt like I had to be performing and perfect because I was worried about how I would affect them. It wasn't until about 2 years into the marriage, I just thought, you know what, this is not sustainable. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
I have to be real. And I explained to them, so what we do is we have family meetings. So I would, one of our family meetings, I had to tell them how I was feeling, and I had to be honest. I think acknowledging the temperature outside, the temperature inside is so imperative to having a successful blended family. So I acknowledged it and I told them, I'm going to have great days and I may have some bad days. It does not affect how I feel about you. And I hope that it doesn't affect our home.
Yeah.
Family meetings are so huge. We talk about those all the time. Our youngest now is 18. So we have, 25, basically 21, 20 and 18. And so when they were all younger, that's what communication is, what it is. And having family meetings was vital to our family to be able to talk through all the things, what everybody was feeling and all, just like that. So we all stayed on the same page.
It gave all of us a voice though, which was really cool. And we learned we tried doing family meetings in the beginning. We did them all wrong. I would sit with my kids. She would sit with her kids. And now it looked like it was team 1 versus team 2. And so we were
team 1.
Yeah, right. Let's get that straight. So my point though is that after a while of developing, we're like, okay, wait a minute. What are we trying to, we want to be seen as the married couple. We are, we're team family, and then we're together, which means we're all together. And then we would give each child an opportunity to voice their feelings and their concerns. So everybody gets a voice.
I love that you said that though. You're the first person we've talked to that has said that.
About family meetings.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
It's so key.
Important. Mm-hmm. So, and I remember in one of our family meetings that really changed how I parented them, because we're team 1 too, right? Me and my kids are team. And so I would always say things like, well, my kids, or the way I raised them, and I remember my daughter, my bonus daughter, the oldest one, she it broke her heart. And she said, why do you do that? Like, why are you always comparing us? And I did not even realize that I was doing that. But having those family meetings set like a ground rule for like everyone, like you said, Josh, to have a voice. So I felt really blessed that she felt comfortable to even correct me on that and to tell me what I was doing, because some stepchildren will hold that against the step parent forever. And then years go by, and here she is feeling like I'm comparing her. I'm, having them have this really invisible competition that I didn't even realize that I created. And so it really changed me saying, and it became more of an us thing and how we do it together.
Yeah.
So.
Man, I love that. If you were gonna speak for your husband right now, right? He's not on here, so we can do this, right? So if you had to say, what do you think was probably the most difficult challenge for him in this blending process?
I think honestly, so me and my children's father, me and my ex-husband, we are very, very close still, and we co-parent like champs. And so he would come over unannounced. There were some boundaries that we had to put in place, because I was just used to, there was no set visitation schedule or anything like that whenever the kids wanted to go or whenever he wanted to come pick them up. So I think it was really odd. I remember the first time I introduced them, it was at my daughter's birthday party. I think she was turning 11 at the time. And my ex-husband went in to hug my new husband, Paul. And Paul was like, what in the world weird stuff do you guys have?
Yeah.
And I just told him, I said, we're family, and despite me and him not working out, we're these kids' parents, and we're going to co-parent, and we're going to love our kids, and they're going to see a healthy co-parenting relationship. And we had, I had been single for 6 years after divorcing my first husband, and Paul, him and his ex-wife, they did not have that. So I think that was a challenge for him. I think it tested his ego. It tested some insecurities that he was facing with his new woman, still having this relationship. And it caused us to really set some boundaries and put boundaries in place that I wasn't used to, but I think it ultimately was healthy and good for our family.
I love the willingness, though. I can hear it in your voice, the willingness to, you were single for 6 years, post-divorce. And so, you already had a good thing going co-parenting. And now you have a new man coming into the picture and that you're marrying and you love. But it's real easy for us to slip into this works, like grow up or figure it out or check your ego. And it doesn't sound like that's how you guys handled it. And that's just so wonderful. We hear the opposite all the time.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear a story of where people are like, no, we're grown-ups and we're going to do what's best for the kids. So, props to you guys for that, because that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. It's really interesting. So my ex-husband, he's remarried and he has children. And I remember the first time his kids came to spend the night, and they call me auntie, right? It's really weird, but it works for our family. And Paul was like, what is going on? And I just said, we're family, and I understand that it's different. People believe that divorce has to be a way, but I just don't believe that. I've always, ever since I was a little girl, I did everything opposite to what people thought was normal. And so I'm going to continue to do that.
Yeah. That's her.
My girl.
Yeah. I'm like, if you tell me that's the way that everything's supposed to be going, I'm going that way. That's how I became a Michigan State fan. So I don't know if you're familiar with Michigan, but Michigan, there's either Michigan, you're a U of M fan, or you're a Michigan State fan. And I was like in 3rd grade, this kid came walking up to me with a piece of notebook paper, and he's like, are you a Michigan fan or a Michigan State fan? And I looked at the piece of paper and everybody was written under Michigan. And I'm like, I'm Michigan State. And ever since then, I've been a Michigan State fan. And then I get with him, and he's a huge Michigan State fan. Yeah. And now my stepson goes to Michigan State. I'm like, it was meant to be, okay? From 3rd grade, man. 3rd grade.
God keeps reaffirming her on this stubbornness of hers. It's so funny.
Seriously.
Yeah, you're talking this, and I'm like, this is her. This is her. This is her.
It's true. And we feel the same way, though, because it was hard. Like, his ex-wife has another younger son that has a different dad, and he comes over and spends the night because it's still his kid's brother, and so that's a part of them, and they love him, and we don't want them to feel that he's not welcome here. So we understand that, now the relationship with our ex is a little bit different, but
it's not co-parenting.
But now all of our kids are older, so we've kind of thankfully we made it through, that co-parenting phase with all of that. So,
yeah. I mean, if you had to give us, our listeners, our viewers, one major piece of advice, if you had just an elevator ride, right? You're going 2 floors, and you got somebody in there, and they're like, save my life, right? Like, help me right
this minute.
Save my marriage, save my family, save what's going on. What would you say to them?
Yeah, so I would say 2 things. And the first thing is what me and Paul kind of vowed to. We even wrote it in our vows, is to love as if you've never been hurt, right? So I think so often we make our new partners pay for the broken dishes that someone else broke. And so we made it our vow to love each other as if we were never hurt. And that's not easy, but it's a constant. When, we get upset with one another, we have to remember that we're going to love each other as if we're never hurt, as if we were never hurt. And then on a personal note is to live a life to inspire and not impress. I feel like in this social media age, in this world where everyone is trying to get likes, comments, and shares and impress other people, we miss the inspiration. And so when we live a life just to inspire people, the inspiration, all of that other stuff will happen. You will impress people. But if your heart and your intention is just to inspire, I believe that this will make you have a better marriage, to have a better life. Your business will grow. Like, it's just so many jewels in that. And that is copyrighted for everybody out there.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's good. It's so important that when we do something like a podcast, and we have guests on, it's not everybody's going to resonate as well with us or with other guests. And so this is a great opportunity for somebody that gets to watch this. Maybe it's just one person that really connects well with you and your story and your way of being and, the way that you want to serve other people. So let's give them an opportunity to connect with you. What would be the greatest place for them to connect with you right now?
Yeah, so I spend most of my time on Instagram as far as social media sites. So it's just Tamika_Thomas. But Tuesday with Tamika is my company's name, my website's name. So if you go over to TuesdayWithTamika.com, you can find out all about me.
Awesome. Cool. Well, everyone, just so you know, we're going to make sure we put everything down in the show notes to be able to get connected with her. Go to her website, check it out. Go to her Instagram page, see what she has going on. Maybe she has something that's happening right now that's just going to connect with you in such a special way, because God has a way of putting people in our way at times we don't think we're ready for. So make sure that you dig in. So Tamika, we just want to thank you so much for this amazing interview. And thank you so much for taking your personal time and sharing it with the people that get to watch this.
Thank you guys as well. And I really pray that God gives you guys uninterrupted success in everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here for this awesome interviewee. If you heard the intro, you know that's funny. Because that's funny.
Oh my gosh.
But that was an amazing episode. It's awesome because, what we said during the interview is true. Not everyone is going to connect with everyone. There's always going to be someone specific that's going to connect. So we encourage you, go and reach out and check out our website, check out our Instagram. Everything will be down in the show notes to be able to take a look. But we also want to encourage you that we have a special, show everybody your shirt. We have a special thing coming up. These are the shirts that are going to be at our event. That's right, a blended marriage event. Okay, it's coming up November 5th, 2022. You can get a t-shirt now, or you can get one when you're at the event.
And we're going to be there too.
We're going to show up. We're actually going to show up at this event. We're thinking about being there. So we want to let you know, you can go at joshandkristy.com, get your tickets today. If you do it at the right time, you actually could sign up for free. So, and the only way you're going to know that, by going to the website, joshandkristy.com. All right. Thank you so much for being here. We'll look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. At what time?
7.